So the Skyline's back, Steve's putting a clutch in it. Didn't make it but a few more miles after we did the inspection and the clutch completely blew out. So this is an interesting one because the engine was originally an automatic. This is a manual swap. One good thing is it gives us a chance to go in and clean up a lot of the things that weren't done up to par and put it up to our standards and just do it a little bit better.
Well, the owner of the Skyline was having some issues with the clutch pedal and clutch feel, so not knowing the history of the clutch and the setup, wanted to go ahead and replace the clutch and then make sure that the slave cylinder is replaced because it looks like that was leaking on the transmission. So we got those parts. We got a really fancy thick spring 6-puck race disc here from ACT. Pretty nice flywheel from Spec. Pretty snazzy. It's got aluminum outside and it's got an interior part where the clutch disc rides that's actually replaceable, serviceable, which is pretty interesting. Lightweight, definitely probably like at least a good 10 pounds less than that. Really thick springs on this ACT flywheel here. I mean on this flex plate. Yep, gonna do that. Got some valve cover gaskets, a couple of cam seals was leaking. We're doing a timing belt because the water pump was leaking and there was oil leaking behind the timing cover, and it turns out the cam seals were leaking. Lay the gaskets out on this bad boy. So RB setup is the same for the inline 6 motors of that era. I mean, like 2J and like 7M have cam towers. It's the valve cover gaskets. A lot of times people are used to seeing a valve cover gasket that's got spark plug holes in it. It's like one piece. Pretty common for, you know, Japanese cars of that era. Transmission's got you know, a drain plug and a fill plug, and the customer wanted to drain the fluid out of that. My concern is that the fill plug on the side of the transmission, which we can get access to, there appear to be a couple of them. One thing I've learned about older 80s, 90s transmissions that you're not intimately familiar with, you got to be careful because every plug on the outside of that transmission may not be for fluid. Sometimes it can be detent spring holders, and when I was a wee lad, I attempted to fill and drain a Ford Turbo Coupe manual transmission, and the plug I ended up pulling off the side of the transmission, which was high enough to look like a fill, was like a 5th gear detent spring retainer. So the moment I pulled this thing out, I heard a clink, cling, cling. That transmission didn't move. That car didn't go anywhere until it came out and got disassembled and repaired. Let me tell you, you don't want to make that mistake. Most modern-ish cars that have manual transmissions, it's incredibly easy to tell where to go. But something this old that I'm not that familiar with, I want to see eyes on exactly what it is, because I definitely don't want to be doing any kind of detents. Oh, well, look at that. There is an Infiniti Nissan OEM transmission fill plug, and I saw a plug with this head on it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with that. Thanks a lot, Google, or Concept Z Performance, I should say. Thank you. The speedometer cable goes in here, so you got to be careful. It's obviously a fill is going to be relatively high. So on the other side, we got one that matches up with that plug. Looks reasonably high. I just want to go ahead and crack it loose while it's out because I get good leverage on it, but I'm not going to fill it till I put it in the car because like I don't have it even. So like, and on top of that, it's going to just leak out. So I just want to make sure it's loose to be ready to be filled. One thing you'll notice is these cars use a pilot bushing. The manual bushing is a little bit smaller than the automatic, and because this vehicle was originally an automatic, normally what you would do is you would pull the pilot bearing out, and then you would install the manual one. The swapper in their infinite wisdom decided to just put the manual bearing in front and just kind of pound it in and pound the other one back so it sticks out a little bit. Based on like what the splines look like, I don't think it's going to be a problem, but that could have been a problem. In the future, just take the old one out and put the new one in. The way that it's hammered in there now, I would risk damaging this one trying to get that one out, and the kit did not come with one. So because it worked, I'll let it ride, but in the future, don't do that. Don't do that. Good girl. Putting the clutch in, patience is your friend. Put all these bolts in, put the flex plate in by hand, and then slowly in a pattern begin to draw them down. As they come down, the fingers or the bevel part of the spring is going to start to come down, and you want it to come down as even as possible. You don't want to give your clutch any reason to have uneven clamping force. Like sort of grabbing it and not grabbing it completely, it's going to be a really bad experience, especially if you've got like some puck style clutch. So we're gonna go nice and slow, make sure everything's good. And that's about it. The rest of it I'll do by hand because at that point you're starting to draw the spring in. Alright, everything's been zipped down slowly. Very, very boring, very, very necessary. When you're done, obviously pull out your alignment tool. Basically we just use this to hold the splines of the clutch, and this part will go into like where the pilot bearing is, and that keeps everything centered so that your clutch is not like down here while your pressure plate is here. It keeps things centered. Just don't forget to take it out. Slave cylinder pushes on this here, and that's how you get your throwout bearing movement, which basically pushes on the bevels of the spring, and that's what kind of flexes the fitment here, which allows the clutch to basically separate between the mechanical connection between the engine, the clutch, and the transmission. Really tight fit. This the bell housing is literally big enough that like it's kind of hitting areas inside the transmission tunnel. So just a tight fit, that's all. The only way I'm gonna really be able to get it in there, manhandle it, I'm not gonna be able to really get it in there. Basically, if you can grab that part back here, I'll grab this part up here. It's clear right here, but the problem is that like if you look up here, the starter housing hits right here, and that affects how it gets in there. So it's gonna have to be twisted to go in, up, and then twisted back to actually go in.
I see. That's oddly satisfying. Oddly satisfying. All right, ready?
Yeah, just a little bit. All right.
We're gonna go up on the front end.
Yeah, so like twist it like that. And then might have to come back to go up.
There you go. See if we can push her in there. No, it's not in there. That's the we're on the fingers.
Yeah, that's what I keep hitting.
Are you sure it wasn't this way?
Oh, it might be. I'm willing to try it.
Are you sure? Because we're in.
I think that you just did it. Let's do it. Let me turn crank.
Yeah.
I think Steve must have picked this bottle up off the side of the road. Drinking this shit, Steve? He says it's green tea. I think it's trucker tea.
Trucker tea. It's turning. All right,
you start to push in. That's about the right angle. Go ahead and turn it for us, please. Will it turn anymore, or is it sticking?
No, I'm just going slow.
Oh, you can go a little bit faster. It's a little.
there it is. Thank you.
Ah, the best, sir. Whew. Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right.
Completely seated and everything, right?
That's what it looks like to me.
Nice. All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
welcome.
thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sometimes it just takes an extra set of hands. Let me tell you.